morning, good morning. How are we doing? Coach said, yeah, a lot of people do play the IB on like the London session or the Asia session. I don't, because for me, I'm in bed. All right, let's see what we got here. I took a break from the charts last night, so I haven't even looked. I did mark yesterday's previous day high, previous day low, and then the session value area high, point of control, value area low from the New York session yesterday. Let me throw on my trading sessions indicator, and we'll see what the overnight highs and lows were. So this is the Asia session. Let's see if there's any kind of points of interest here. So I know this is kind of pre-market Asia, but that's where the liquidity for the low would be. Asia low, this would be Asia high. And then we got our London low here. And then so far, high of the day, London high. Cool. Turn that indicator off. So let's see what we got. We are holding above VWAP. Kind of been trending up since last night. We did make a higher high here, but still below this high. So we almost came up with this high right here. We almost came up and tested yesterday's point of control, which is pretty common to test. So kind of a couple points of interest for me. This point of control right here is also in line with kind of that big red candle down. There's a little bit of a fair value gap in this area, like right there. So I'm kind of leaning towards bearish today, just because we are still like zooming out on the 30-minute. Still in this downtrend. We did make a lower low overnight there. And I could see us possibly like coming up to this point of control-ish area and then coming back down. And if we get really dumpy, like down to there. Oops. So that is a possibility. Coming up to test that point of control, like fair value gap area, and then coming down. We'll see how far. Like I said, if it starts to get heavy, that would definitely be an area of interest down here. Or if we break above this point of control and start to hold, we could be kind of reversing the trend a little bit. In my opinion, I feel like that is less likely. This red dot area right here, I mean, there's lots of resistance here between that point of control and value area high. There's lots of resistance there. You can even see it on this visible range volume profile. Lots of activity, or lots of resistance in the short term. So that would kind of be an area I would be looking for if the market opens to the upside. Possible rejection from there. And then some levels down below. I mean, if it comes down here to this previous day low or yesterday, the Asia low, overnight low, and I mean, that's the previous week point of control. There was a lot of confluence there. That was a pretty good spot to bounce. If it comes back down here and it holds and there's a strong reaction, that could possibly be a spot for a long. So those are kind of be some scenarios that I'm looking for. Good morning. Good morning, Nico. So I'll leave those little lines on actually. So first thing I was saying is there's quite a bit of resistance here up at this like point of control, value area, high area. If we have a strong rejection from there, I could see us going back to the overnight lows or lower if we get super heavy. So that's one thing I'd be looking for. Or if we open up right away to the downside and we grab this overnight liquidity or even defend the previous day low and have a strong bounce, that could possibly be a scenario I'd be watching for too. Today though, we have FOMC, so definitely a day to be careful. Size down. Be patient. Did anyone take any trades overnight? Gotta remove all my alerts. I had a whole bunch of stuff set, just kind of levels that I was watching last night. All right, cool. Good morning, Susie. Oh, wow. First time trading this week. Honestly, you didn't miss much. The last couple days have been a little funky in the markets, a little rough. And today's going to be, I would assume, a day to be patient too. A day to be careful. So if you guys are just tuning in, my squiggly lines here, what they mean, they're just some scenarios I'm watching for and some levels, some points of interest. So up here, if you guys watch fair value gaps, there's a little bit of a gap here on the higher time frame. It's also in line with yesterday's point of control and value area high. There's lots of resistance here. So if it comes up to this general area and rejects, that would definitely be a spot I'd be looking to take a short. Overall, I'm kind of leaning towards shorts. I want to be flexible, like I'm not only taking shorts today, but that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. One, I mean, that we're in a downtrend. We've been making lower highs, lower lows. We're in a downtrend. Lots of news with war and tariffs and just everything going on in the world right now. Leaning towards shorts. So if we get to this general area up here, oops, let me move my red dot. If we get to this general area up here, I'd be looking for potential shorts. And then if we come down first in the open and grab some liquidity from either this previous day low or like overnight Asia low, and bounce, that'd be a spot I'd be looking for longs possibly. So we'll see what we get. 2 minutes until the open. So we had our news this morning an hour ago. Didn't really move the markets that much. So I don't expect it to like super affect the volatility this morning. And then obviously FOMC day. That all starts around 1 o'clock. So I definitely expect the like lunch hour around, noon-ish. Woo, my red dot got really big when I moved down to the lower time frames. That's funny. The lunch hour volatility, I'm sure, is going to slow down quite a bit. So I plan on being done trading early. I don't want to deal with all the FOMC stuff. Might come back later on my own and trade like after FOMC if volatility increases and some good setups show themselves. But kind of want to avoid it.
Order filled.
Oh. Gotta turn off my limit orders there. All right, let's see what we get. Market's open. Good morning, good morning. So came down to VWAP, had a pretty good bounce. Overall though, that first candle was pretty bearish, lots of volume down. This value area low level from yesterday's New York session has been holding pretty well for the last hour. Let's see if we can break and hold below that level, or if we're going to defend it. I feel like if we do defend that level, then there's that possibility that we'll come back up to point of control before rejecting, kind of like I was laying out in my scenarios. But for now, it looks like it is not holding and we're breaking below VWAP. Still early though, obviously. Well, so far my bearish bias is correct. It's just a matter of finding a good level to enter on. But obviously still early. Being patient. All right, let's put in our anchored VWAP for the New York session. Start marking off this 15-minute range. Coming up to that London low right now. See if we get any sort of bounce reaction off of that. So far, no. It is melting through it. My goodness. Looking left for other areas of interest. I mean, we have this previous day low. We'll see if that gets defended. And then this previous week point of control, also that shaded area, lots of volume from the higher time frame. Also the Asia low. This would be a good spot for a potential bounce, but I mean, with how heavy we are, we could just be melting through it. Zooming out, I mean, yeah, buyers went home. They did not show up for work today. Buyers did not show up for work today. Zooming out to the higher time frame, I mean, I didn't want to like put this out there in the very beginning, but I could totally see us coming down to previous week value area low, which is also Monday's low, I think, right there. And then we do have a little bit of a gap right here. So, I mean, if we get really heavy and we're going to come down to this area anyway, that's not too far off. That's a long way down, I know. But we're also moving down quickly, so it wouldn't surprise me with everything we have going on right now. All right, starting to approach that previous day low area. Let's see if we get any sort of reaction there. We're just melting. Good morning, G-Man. All right, let's mark off this 15-minute low where it's at so far. Looks like I might be moving that line soon. Definitely looking for shorts for sure at this point. Holding below VWAPs. Holding below all the like value area low, Asia high, London high, just kind of holding below all the levels. This is the overnight low in this area. So I'd like to see if it does get down there, what kind of reaction we're gonna get. Just kind of talking through it, like if we are to come down here and have a bounce, I think I'd be looking for a quick scalp, like maybe a retest to the opening range low or whatever, something like that. Just because I feel like overall today, we're going to be bearish. I wouldn't want to be looking for a total reversal if I was to long, but not even thinking about longs at this point. Getting a little bit of a bounce here. Let's see what we got to the left. We had that liquidity, not much there. This area right here. While we're sitting here waiting for this 15-minute opening range to get set, go like the stream, you guys. Help me out. Drink your coffee, like the stream. We do have crude oil inventories at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern, so in an hour. That shouldn't affect us too much, but it's definitely something to be aware of. And then we got a couple of speakers. Trump doing some stuff, swearing in ceremony. And then, of course, that rate decision at 2 o'clock. Wild day. Lots of stuff going on. Getting a little bit of a bounce, but not very convincing. Coming up to this VWAP area. This red VWAP is actually anchored from the overnight low. I'll go ahead and delete that since it's pretty much in line with the session VWAP. Let's see if we get a rejection here. We got about 4 more minutes until this range is set. How are we looking here? About 67-point range. Getting a little rejection at VWAP there. Let's see if that holds. There might not be a ton of volume in the market today, just with people waiting for FOMC. Really not doing a whole lot of nothing right now. Staying in this tiny little 10-point range. Yeah. It's only 14 minutes into the open and it's already putting us to sleep. definitely, like I said before, I've said it a couple times now, definitely a day to size down and be careful, because I feel like it's a nasty combination. Like, volatility is low, fewer participants in the market today because people are waiting for FOMC, combined with everything going on in the world with war and tariffs. If there was some tweet or announcement combined with the low liquidity or low participants, low volume, it could just like go crazy in one direction or the other. So not a day to try to make $1 million. Still kind of chopping right at VWAP. Kind of looks like it wants to reject. My goodness. Did I set my clocks wrong? Are we trading the Asia session? What's going on here? So our 15-minute range has been set. So let's see if we can get any trades off of that range. With the 15-minute trades I like to take though, I prefer there to be some momentum. Like if we're gonna take a breakout trade or something, there's not really any momentum right now. I wouldn't want to take like a 15-minute opening range breakout to the upside if it's just slowly inching along like that. For me, those are like quick scalp trades. Unless we're just trending and it's obvious which direction we're going, but that's not the case today. Like if this just totally like barely peeks its head out the top and isn't convincing, I wouldn't want to take a long. I would want there to be like all of a sudden a whole bunch of volume. Just a little peekaboo outside of the top of the range. That's funny. Yeah, see what I was talking about with momentum? Anybody want to take that 15-minute opening range breakout trade right there? That looks super convincing, doesn't it? Oh my goodness. Now, with how slow the grind to the upside has been, if we like all of a sudden get strong sellers, I'd be down for that. Like a possible fake out and then come back down to the bottom of the range. I could see that. But definitely not taking one to the upside as of now, the way it looks. We have quite a bit of like recent resistance right here at this Asia high level. I could see there being like a possible 15-minute opening range fake out and then rejection, possibly. So we'll see. I mean, for now, it is holding above that 15-minute range. If we come back down and retest and some volume shows up and we continue to the upside, possibly take a little scalp long. If we have a strong rejection and sellers show back up, then possible short. So kind of just see what happens up here. We do have quite a few levels in both directions. So, I mean, if it holds above this, I could see it coming up to that point of control area that I was laying out when I first signed on. So we got quite a bit of room to the upside. We are breaking above this resistance here. Let's see if we can get a little retest back down to the opening range high. I wouldn't want to enter a long here just because we don't really have any structure. Like, if we long here, my stop would be like all the way down here somewhere, and that's just way too low. So I'd prefer to maybe get a retest and then a break higher, so we could put the stop loss at that recent low. Let's see, are we gonna get a retest? Nope. There's the momentum. That's what I would have wanted to see earlier. So I know this is one of those instances where if you did take it on the first break, you would have been in a good spot right now. But I've been faked out way too many times on those 15-minute opening range breakouts. So I don't take the first break, especially with how slow it was, like inching above it barely, and all this resistance to the left here. That wouldn't have been something I would have wanted to take. And didn't really give me a retest yet. So here's another kind of level here where we've had quite a bit of resistance so far. This gray shaded box that I have marked off is also a higher time frame, high volume area. So if we get a rejection at the top of this region, where we've had quite a bit of rejection so far overnight, possibly look at shorting that, but I would like to see it get back below that 15-minute opening range low, I think. All right, selling getting a little strong, or at least on that one candle. So we'll see how it reacts at this 15-minute opening range high. If it breaks below and starts to have some selling pressure, that is a good spot for a short, in my opinion. A good area to reject. Let's see. Is this going to be a 15-minute opening range high? Oops. Breakout and retest? Or is it going to be a fake out and we're going to go lower? If it is a 15-minute opening range breakout retest, buyers forgot about it. They didn't show up. They went to go get their second cup of coffee and they didn't come back. We are still holding above VWAP, so I'm not like wanting to enter a short like super quick. But I'm just not convinced about this 15-minute opening range breakout and trend continuation, because the trend is not continuing right now. It could be my bearish bias, but I kind of feel like we're going lower. That's my thought. But I don't have enough confluence to enter a short yet. I'd like to see it break back below the 15-minute opening range high and then possibly even break and hold below VWAP. What are you guys looking at in the chat? Anyone taking any trades yet? You looking for longs? You looking for shorts? What are y'all looking for? Talk to me, guys. This PA is putting me to sleep. Sitting on your hands. Love it. Glad I'm not the only one. Makes me feel a little bit better. This makes me laugh. Like, if we had taken this 15-minute opening range breakout trade, I didn't, obviously, but if we did, we'd be like 4 points in profit right now, 5 points, 6 points, woohoo! After what, like 5 minutes? That's not how I like to trade the 15-minute opening range. I want it to be like, quit, bounce, go, get out in a couple minutes. It's kind of why I'm thinking shorts. Like, we opened up super bearish, strong selling, and it's kind of been like a slow grind up. I feel like this is a big fake out. Watching paint dry, yes. Agreed. Try not to have too much of a bias and just stay flexible based on what price action shows us, but definitely leaning towards shorts. What I'd be looking for is if we hold below this 15-minute opening range and then get some selling pressure and break below these VWAPs, I'd be interested in a short to at least this overnight low. And then, I mean, if we get super heavy, we have several levels below too. Yeah, don't want to be caught in a grinder. I agree. I don't want to be sitting in a trade for 2 hours when we have FOMC coming up. All right, so we are breaking back below that 15-minute range high. Let's see if, I mean, that was a pretty good red candle. Possible retest of that high and then go lower to this range low, possible. If we were to get that entry, we could put our stop loss back above these wicks and then target down here. Kind of would be what I'm looking at, possibly. Let's see if we get it. Get a little bit of a bounce off of VWAP. Let's see if we get a rejection. Getting a little bit of a bounce, but again, not convincing. Looks like sellers want to be in control. There's quite a bit of volume in that candle. Well, glad I didn't enter a short. Kind of pinching between some levels here. Let's see what direction it decides to break out. So normally that would be enough momentum to take a 15-minute opening range breakout trade. It did bounce off of that VWAP. All right, I'm gonna enter a small long just because I do feel like there are some levels up above. The reason am doing it small is because we're kind of at the top of this resistance. But we did get some momentum. So we had that initial breakout of the 15-minute opening range, came back down, had a strong bounce off of VWAP, and we're kind of getting that momentum I was talking about. But again, we're at that top of that level. I would be looking for that point of control level if we get some continuation higher. So what was my entry? 32.75. So point of control from yesterday is what I would be looking at. All right, starting to get some selling pressure at the top of that range I had. We do have this Asia high line that I have drawn out that was previous resistance recently this morning. Let's see if that holds up as support. That's kind of where we're at right now. Well, that momentum that we had went away. There we go. We're getting a few buyers stepping up. Pulling up Bookmap. Let's see if we have any points of interest here. We do have quite a bit of orders at like 22.50 and then 22.100. So let's see if we can get a little bit higher. So far, it is holding that level that was previous resistance. It's holding as support for now. All right, let me go ahead and set my order. I'm just gonna go to 22.90, which is right where point of control is. A little below that. We just need a little push, get some momentum. So still kind of rejection at that top of that gray area that I have. Looking left, that was that resistance it's been holding. So if we can break and hold above that, I do feel pretty good about getting up to that point of control. This is that grinder you were talking about, Beverly. It's gonna make me sweat for it, right? Moving at a turtle pace today. And looking at Bookmap, sometimes I feel, see, this is why I don't like looking at Bookmap too heavily. It's like way low on the list in terms of my confluences. But if you look at the orders for like the higher outside of the immediate price action, there's a whole bunch at 22,200, 22,250. Maybe I'm too of a bearish like bias, too much of a bearish bias just with all the news going on, but like who thinks we're gonna move up 300 points today? 200 points. No, watch, it does. It's totally going to do that, and I'm gonna have to eat my words. Ah. If you guys are just hopping on, if you haven't already, go like the video. Help me out. I'd appreciate it. And maybe if you like give me a whole bunch of thumbs up, then we'll get some volatility. We'll get some movement, and maybe it'll actually go up to my target. Let's go. We got one little bump. Somebody gave the market some coffee, starting to set in a little bit. That caffeine's kicking in. All right, I have my target set at that point of control. We do have the overnight low resistance right at 2266. So that would definitely be an area to watch out for. There's quite a few orders on Bookmap at that level too. So let's see if we'll break through that. And then looking a little higher. Yeah. Lots of resistance here. 22,100-ish, which is actually where quite a few Bookmap orders are too. Let's see if we can keep moving. The slow grind continues. Yeah, intuition, I'm kind of debating the same thing with how slow it's moving, getting out at London High. Right around here at 2265. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna scale out a little bit because there's a lot of orders up at 22,100 too. So I'm gonna take one off at London High. And then one off at that point of control, which was my original target. And then I'll leave one runner to 100. That way, if I'm wrong, it doesn't come all the way down to my stop loss and I get nothing out of it. And if it, once it breaks London High, I'll put my stop loss to break even. Did I put it one tick too high? Is it gonna grab it for me? Come on. Come on, I'll move it a little bit lower so you can catch it. You can do it! Don't do that to me. It's right there. You know you want to. Just grab it. Oh, this is funny. It's not gonna move at all. We're just gonna stay right here. Intuition, did you get filled yet? Has ES hit London High yet? All right, moving to break even. Let's see how high we go. So I'm not moving my target just to move my target. I'm doing it because I'm scaling out. So I have that one at porting control at 88, and then we'll see if we actually get to value area high at 133. See how far this runner goes. I'll go a little below value area high. Oh, ES hit it 10 minutes ago, huh? And Q's running a little behind the trend then. Makes me wonder what ES is doing. Can that give us a little forecast of what we're in for? ES is just running. Interesting, interesting. Definitely was not expecting to take longs today. That's why it's important to be flexible. All right, so grabbed that London high liquidity, rejecting a little bit. Let's see if we get some continuation and it goes up to point and control and then continues higher. Zooming out to the 5-minute. That big area of chop on the ES screen that I just pulled up is quite a bit higher than it is for ES. Like, I still feel like NQ has a little more room to run if it's going to follow with the same trend that ES is holding right now. So I feel decent about leaving that one runner. Let's see if it actually grabs this point of control though. Point of control target. I'm definitely glad that I sized down this morning. It's allowing me to sit in this trade like stress-free. Like when it was chopping around forever. Even if it went down to my stop loss, it was like $70, I think is what I was risking. I like the method too of scaling out of positions, because then it guarantees that I make something and then I can just sit through the rest of it risk-free. And then it helps eliminate the FOMO too of like, what if it goes higher than my target? Which I know is a bad mindset anyway. Like, I'm not trying to catch the whole move, but leaving one tiny little runner, even if it's just going to be one contract, and if it does run all the way up to that value area high, then makes me feel a little bit better. For me, at least, I think it helps with like not having that tilt mindset of FOMO and entering late, that kind of stuff. And the risk on it is low. So I know there's lots of different like opinions about that. All in and all out, just scalp the trade, don't try to catch the whole move, base hits versus scaling in, scaling out. Guess you have to figure out what works for you. Interesting. The ES already hit value area high. Makes me wonder if NQ is actually going to hit value area high. And it's going to follow that. It's just behind. Or if like ES starts rejecting, then maybe NQ won't hit it. It's going to hit some lower levels and before it rejects. We shall see. I'm still kind of in the mindset of just having this be a little bit of a scalp trade. Like I said, when I first logged on, overall, I feel like this is a big area of resistance, and overall, I'm still leaning bearish. So like, I could see the greater trend being some sort of retest here before like the overall rejection today. Still kind of ready for that and just kind of mentally preparing myself for it. I don't want to think like, oh, since it's breaking London high, then we're going to go all the way up to previous day high, like to the moon. I don't want to get caught up in that yet. Yeah, point of control is where my next target is. Then I'm going to leave one little baby runner. Value area high is 133. Which is like right where all that resistance is. So I have my target set a little bit lower in case we don't reach all the way up to that point. What about you guys in the chat? What have you been taking? Anyone? I know Beverly said she was sitting on her hands. Did you end up getting anything? G-Man, Susie, Coach Set, what are you guys up to? Any trades? Yeah, David, when I first came into today, I was definitely leaning towards shorts. I'm super glad that I was patient because there were several opportunities where like I almost pulled the trigger a couple times on this, the 15-minute range. Like right here when where was it? So here we broke out of the 15-minute range and we had this rejection off of yesterday's VWAP and we started to close below the 15-minute range. Like I was so close to entering a short. My finger was on the button. But I wanted to wait for a close below VWAP and we never did. So when we had that really strong bounce off of VWAP with volume, I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you for not entering a short. I'm glad I didn't. I was close, though. And I think it was me coming into the day with that bearish bias for sure. So I'm glad I was patient. The slow grind continues. Yeah, David, I had lots of reasons to be short. Just overall downtrend, news about war, FOMC day, which means that, I mean, in the past, my experience is a lot of people are like getting out of positions. Just lots of reasons to be bearish today. Which I think is why I'm still like sizing down on this long. Like this is a really small position. And getting ready for if there's a lot of selling pressure at this general area where there's lots of resistance, I could definitely be flipping short here in a little while. But we'll see. Staying patient. Right now we're coming back down to that previous London high area. Let's see if we can get some continuation higher. So our 15-minute opening range is, or sorry, not 15 minutes, the 60-minute opening range is set. There is our initial balance high. So possible scenario for a failed auction, like if that was going to be the case, we could come up to this point of control and reject. That's a possibility. Or if we're going to continue to the upside, we could come down, retest, and then continue on up to value area high. Kind of what I'd be watching for. Gonna do it like last time where it just like slow grinds right at my target. Come on. Good morning, chat. If you guys are just tuning in, say hi. Say hi in the chat. Like the stream. Tell me what you've been doing today. You guys green? You guys red? You taking wins, losses? How's your day going so far? I'm sitting in the world's longest trade currently. I'm scaling out of my position, so I wouldn't quite call it a 15-minute opening range breakout trade because I didn't take that initial test just because I saw quite a bit of resistance over here, and I did have a little bit of a bearish bias. So didn't enter immediately. Once we show that like buyers were taking control, started to have some volume behind those candles, got some momentum to the upside, I did enter. I took one off at London high. I have another target at yesterday's point of control, and then leaving one runner up to this value area high, which is where all this resistance here is. All right. So we got our point of control target. Now I'm going to trail my stop loss a little bit more. We are getting some momentum up though. Let's see if we can get up there. Right now, we're still continuing that slow grind up. So, not looking for shorts right now. But we're getting into an area where there's heavy resistance. So, if sellers just start showing up, I could see us flipping and starting to take shorts. Also kind of being aware of a possible failed auction. Here is initial balance high. If we come up and then come back down and close below that initial balance high, we could possibly be looking at a failed auction too. So initial balance high is right at like 22.81. If we start to get some selling pressure and close back below, that'd be a pretty sweet failed auction setup. Especially since we do have quite a bit of resistance to the left, so that'd be a little bit more confluence. On the higher time frame, I don't really like trade fair value gaps, but it is something to be aware of because they often get filled. There is one right here. Right there. A little bit of a fair value gap, kind of right in line with all that resistance. I could see that being an area of rejection. So that would give me a little bit of confluence for that failed auction if we start to close below. Which it kind of looks like we might be doing. But would want to wait for some confirmation. If I was to like close out my trade and flip short, I would want to see some strong selling pressure. So, not there yet. Right now, I still have my one low runner. Slowly breaking below that initial balance high. Let's see what kind of momentum we get. This is kind of playing out like that 15-minute opening range breakout from earlier this morning. Like, there is a breakout and a retest, but not a whole lot of momentum and volume behind it. So, is it a breakout trend continuation? Or are we getting a failed auction? Who knows? What's it gonna be? We are stuck right at that point of control. I like that being a target and an area of resistance. Let's see if we get some continuation. Haven't looked at Bookmap in a minute. We still do have 97 orders at 22,100. And then we have a small amount of orders, 21 orders at 22,125, which is kind of where my last target is, right up near value area high. We have a large amount at 22,200 as well, which is actually above previous day high. That would be interesting. Definitely, if it gets up there, if it breaks up above previous day high, I would not have expected that when I logged in this morning. That is not where my head was at all, if we end up getting up there. All right, looks like we're getting some selling pressure here. I'm gonna close out my position fully, and I'm actually going to go for that failed action. So 2272 is my entry. And then I know a couple of you guys have asked me like how I trade these in terms of targets. So obviously we're not there yet. Like we need to see if this plays out. But I kind of just play it by momentum, honestly. So we have had this slow grind up all morning. So if we get like a slow, choppy, unconvincing break down, then I probably would have a shorter target, maybe somewhere like here-ish. If sellers show up and we just get super heavy, then we can also target the bottom of the range, the 15-minute range. So we'll kind of see how it plays out. But that's how I do. I just stay flexible and watch price action. Looks like it might be stopping us out. Give it a little bit of room. Kind of just chopping around VWAP right now. Or not VWAP, sorry. Initial balance high. This is a good level when you look left. There's quite a bit of resistance here. So this would be an idea that I would potentially try twice if I was to get stopped out. Because even when I first logged on this morning, this point of control, like value area high region that we're at right now was an area of resistance that I was looking at from the beginning. And now that it's like right in line with the initial balance high, and I was overall thinking bearish today, like there's lots of reasons to try this trade. So I wouldn't be afraid to try it again if I took a small loss here. So potential target, this VWAP area, 15-minute opening range high, which is also in line with the overnight VWAP. That's a potential, which is also right in line with 22,000, which is a good mental number. And then if we get super heavy, we could come back down to that range low, 60-minute range low. How big is the range? We're sitting at like 140 points or so. So 926 is the range low. So that'll kind of be like my home run target, but I'll scale out before we get there. All right, chat. I'm going to leave this up. Let the trade play out for a second. I will be right back. What did I miss? Not much, right? The slow grind continues. It does look like we're getting a rejection though, so that's good. See if we can get some momentum. Come on, let's go. I feel like we need to pump up this market. Get some energy. Energy up in here. What's going on? Ah. Let's go. So this is what I was kind of talking about, like target wise. assuming I don't get stopped out, if this slow grind continues, I would probably take most of my position off around this like VWAP area. If we get some heavy selling pressure and I'm a little more convinced that we're going down, then I'll probably hold some for that 15-minute or the 60-minute range low. But for now, we gotta see if we're even gonna be green or if we're gonna get stopped out. Anyone else taking a failed action trade? Anyone jumping in with me? What you guys doing? Tell me if you guys are still awake. Or if the market like bored you to death and you went off and did something else. Maybe I'm talking to myself now. That's totally possible. Alright guys, I'm putting my blanket on. My office is so cold. I'm like sitting here with goosebumps. Intuition, sitting on your hands. Coach that and Chez Miguez. That's a cool screen name. You guys are riding with me, huh? All right, so those of you who are taking this failed auction trade with me, tell me your thoughts on target. What do you guys normally do? So what I was saying I do is I wait and see how momentum is. Like if we get super heavy and sellers show up, then we could be targeting all the way down to the initial balance low. And I would scale out in between. If we are chopping around and like barely going down and it's an unconvincing move, I would probably take most of it off here at VWAP. So I'm curious what your thoughts. What are you guys targeting for your exit? $20.39 is your first target. Fair value gap. Fair value gap on what, the 15-minute time frame? Right around there. Yeah. I could see, I mean, even if it fills that fair value gap, that is a good spot for a bounce at the bottom of the fair value gap and VWAP. Quite a bit of confluence there. And this little resistance area could be a spot for a bounce too. All right, 22.24 is where my New York anchored VWAP is. That could be a spot for a potential first target. Man, I'd love to see it get heavy and just dump and like go all the way down. But, you know, can't be too greedy. He keeps doing this to me. To us, I guess. We're all in this together. But where, like, it has like 2 convincing 1-minute candles where I'm like, oh yeah, we're in a good failed auction trade. And then there's no continuation and it puts us to sleep for a couple minutes. My goodness. Looking at volume today, like moving my price action out of the way. We had a bump like for 5 minutes. And then the rest of the day has pretty much been nothing. Even that first 15-minute range was putting us to sleep. There was volatility for literally the first 5 minutes, 8 minutes maybe. So now that this chop is like continuing, it's slowing down, we're not really getting any momentum down. No real big sellers. I think I'm targeting more here if we ever get there. G-Man, are you in the chat still? I'm curious if you're taking this failed auction trade. You were the one of the ones asking about it. Asking about failed auctions. Coach, that you were the one that said that you studied it over the weekend, right? You're kind of new to the strategy. Bouncing back up to that initial balance high. Kind of holding there though. Let's see if we reject here again. I don't love price action today, which I was expecting. I knew today would be a little bit funky. I still feel like we rejected at a good level. Like yesterday's point of control, lots of resistance if you look left. We're at that initial balance. Still feel decent about where we're at. We just need to get some continuation. I don't like having to sit through this chop. Let's see if we put an anchored VWAP at the high. Just barely above it. But I mean, this is a lot of chop, so take that with a grain of salt. Let's see if we zoom out a little bit. What are we looking at here? We do have this fair value gap from that area. So that could be a possible like inversion where we broke through it and now it's using it as support. That's a possibility. Again, I don't trade fair value gaps a lot, but just kind of playing out different scenarios. I still feel strong about this area being a big area of resistance and yesterday's point of control. So good spot for a rejection and then just having an overall bearish look on the day in general. What's up, Johnny? Going well so far. I'm sitting in my second trade right now. I've been sizing down big time just with everything going on with FOMC and low volume and stuff. Didn't want to get too crazy today. Took one long on that breakout of the 15-minute opening range. Took it a little bit late because I wanted to wait for some like verification, I guess, that we were going to break through this resistance here. So got in long and targeted point of control. Had one win there. Right now sitting in a failed auction idea. And right now it's kind of just chopping around, making us wait. Dump it. Come on. You know you want to. Where are you at on the day, Johnny? Have you taken any trades? You having a good one so far? 2 trades. Playing around with your new indicator that you're building. Cool. I heard you talking about that with Luna a couple days ago when you were on his stream. So came back up, hit that initial balance high, starting to reject again. Let's see if we can actually get some convincing selling volume today on this run. This time around. Come on, just go. Dump it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That's what I want to see. The indicator worked well, but you didn't take the trade. That's a bummer. All right, so now we're starting to get a little heavier. I'm gonna take some off at here at 22.32, which is right here where that resistance is, and just a little above VWAP. So I'll set one target there. Nope. Why is it not letting me do it? There we go. Still kind of just jumping around. Not wanting to break past that 2260 level. Get past 2260 and hold it. And we could be coming down to VWAP. From there, next target for me would be around this session overnight VWAP, which is also in line with the initial or a 15-minute opening range high, and also sitting right around 22,000, which, you know, is that psychological level. So set one in that general area, and then we'll just kind of adjust these based on how heavy we get. I might get fully out at some of these levels, but I do have my home run TP sitting down here at the initial balance low. Are you always waiting for the failed auction to short on days where we're up above VWAPs? Yeah, so a lot of times a failed auction, whether you're taking longs or shorts, VWAP is going to be somewhere in the middle of the range, typically. I mean, I haven't seen it very much otherwise. So that's kind of why, David, I use it as a target. Because, I mean, if you think about it, we've been in an uptrend all morning. And now I'm shorting, so going against the trend. If this uptrend is going to continue, then VWAP could be a possible spot for a bounce. That's why I would plan to take some profit off there. But we could just break straight through VWAP and continue lower back down to the opening range low. So that's why I typically like to take some off at VWAP. If you like watch videos learning about the strategy, a lot of times they say to target the midpoint of the range. So if I take my little measurement tool out here, there's the top, there's the bottom, 150 point range. So approximately, what is that, 75 points? 75 would be here, which is actually closer to that overnight VWAP. So yeah, there's different strategies on how you take profits. And I know if any of you have like an Edgeful membership, they have the ability to pull up stats. Like on a Wednesday, the initial balance failed auction, statistically speaking, goes to the other end of the range like 45% of the time. So if you like to know those kind of stats, they definitely are available. I don't use tools like that just because I feel like it's too much clutter, like too much information for me. Just makes me second guess when everything is like conflicting information, and I don't know, kind of gets me out of my flow, I guess, makes me too anxious when I have 10 different things to worry about. So I usually target either the midpoint of the range or VWAP. And then like the 15-minute opening range high, I'll usually find one or two targets. And then I usually like to leave a runner to the initial balance low, assuming we're getting heavy. If we get like heavy selling pressure, or if you're the reverse, if it was a failed auction on the downside and you're long, if there's heavy buying pressure, then yeah, why not leave a runner and target the other end of the range? Today is pretty choppy though, so I don't know if I'd be targeting that full home run. What would that be? 150 points or something like that? 143 points? I mean, as of now, I'm only targeting 46 points, and it might take us 45 minutes to get there. It's pretty slow. Oh, yeah. So that's actually something that I'm working on, is scaling out of my trades and knowing when to get fully out and knowing when to leave a runner. So I'll be totally transparent with you guys. Like I don't always make the best decisions on that. I'm still getting better at reading the market. Like, are we in a trend continuation day and I should leave a runner and like go for the home run? Or are we in a choppy day and I should just get fully out, take profit, see profit, and be done? I still kind of get stuck on what to do and like how to know what kind of day we're having, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I was saying earlier though, I know there's a lot of debate about this and I could be totally wrong. Like, feel free to comment and put me on blast, I don't care. But I personally get tilted when I take profit fully and then it like continues and it could have been a home run trade. So, and I know that's the wrong mindset, but I like to leave one little runner and trail my stop loss aggressively. But I'll scale out most of it before then. All right. We're just going to sit through this grind. Grinding, grinding. So I have my first target here a little above VWAP. I think the anchored VWAP is closer to like 27, and I have this at 32 just in case it does bounce early. Come on. Go ahead and continue on down. While we're sitting here waiting, you guys, anything you want to go over? Any questions you have for me? If you're just tuning in, wondering like why I took this trade, anyone missed that? Want me to go over anything that I've talked about in my videos? Any questions you got there? Happy to help out with any of that. Are we ever gonna get there? I do look at Bookmap, David. I will say, honestly, it's like bottom of the totem pole in terms of my confluences. I have it up in the book background. But I feel like it messes me up more than it helps if I really, truly rely on it 100%. Like, I'll be in a trade and like holding it for a bunch of orders that are on Bookmap, and then it'll reverse in the opposite direction, and then I get stopped out at break even because I was waiting for that number on Bookmap instead of just looking at price action. So I've stopped relying on Bookmap. Like this morning is actually a really good example. On NQ, there are 88 orders up at 22,100. So like that's a pretty big red bar if you look at Bookmap. But in this long, I was thinking point of control as a level, which I had a lot of confluence for. Like if you look left, there's lots of resistance here. There's like a fair value gap in this general area on that big red candle. So I was targeting point of control from yesterday's session, which was at 22,089. It ended up going up to 22,099. So if I was targeting 22,100, I probably would have gotten stopped out on a trailing stop loss instead. So, I mean, I know with Bookmap you can target a little bit below where the orders are. Like there's different strategies. But overall, if Bookmap is my top like confluence, I get messed up. So it's towards the bottom. That's just me though. Maybe I haven't learned how to trade with it very well. My win rate, Johnny, on average, so over the last 3 months, I'm a pretty new-ish trader. But over the last 3 months, I'm between like 62 and 67% win rate. And on choppy days, I don't do as well, to be totally honest. A lot of times on choppy days, like still even on choppy days, there's like initial balance, failed auctions, and like I'll trade levels. So maybe it'll hit point of control, or it'll like take the overnight liquidity and reverse in the opposite direction. So even on choppy days, it can still do well with those trades. But I usually don't have as much profit on those days because I'm targeting something that's a little bit too far away. And then, you know, if it's choppy, I'll get stopped out on like a trailing stop loss or break even or something like that. So I usually on those days, I'll take 1 or 2 trades and then notice that the market is choppy and that I'm not reading it very well, and I'll walk away and just realize that those are not my days to trade. Would you have taken the long at the bottom of the IB last night? Beverly, yes. Bookmap does tell you when the order is absorbed, and this 22,100 was not absorbed. So that's kind of what I was saying. Like if you were targeting all the way up to that and it didn't hit it, and then you like got stopped out on a trailing stop loss, that can be frustrating. So I try to trade based on price action levels rather than Bookmap levels. I just kind of use it as confluence. So like if I'm looking at Bookmap, and if you guys are familiar with Bookmap, like there's a whole bunch of red lines and stuff. If most of the red lines are to the upside, then I'm thinking, oh, there's a lot of orders up, so we're gonna go up, or more likely up. Or if there's a bunch down, then we're gonna have a chance of going down. And then I also use it as confluence too. Like if I'm looking at my chart and I'm already thinking that like we could come down to this level and then bounce, and then I look at Bookmap and that same level is on Bookmap, then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe my level is a good level. So I do use it as confluence, but it's just not at the top of my list of like things that I look at. So we are trending down. I'm feeling good about, obviously it is a failed auction by this point. So let's see if we actually get down to this VWAP, and then if we get a continuation lower. Let's see. So Coach Set, you were asking about the long at the bottom of the initial balance last night. You talking about the London session? Or are you talking about the Asia session? Which one? Asia. All right, so we're at a point where I'm at least gonna go to break even. And it looks like we're gonna hit our first target. So to answer your question, Coach set without even looking at the levels, at which I'm gonna go look, but probably not, because I don't like trading Asia unless there's a whole lot of momentum. If it's slow, I don't like it. But let's look. So that would be from 7 Central to 8 Central. So there's the initial balance high. I think. And then initial balance low. Yeah. I mean, that, are you talking about right there? That small little failed action and back up? Is that kind of what you're talking about? There was some confluence there because that was right at VWAP, and then it bounced off of it and continued to trend back higher. If that's what you're talking about, that was pretty good. Let's see where we're at in terms of the VWAP from the New York session low. It's not going to be much different than the opening anchored VWAP. Yeah, very close. Because they were right around the same time. So I'll delete that one. Too many lines. Coach said the risk to reward on that one was pretty decent because it was an immediate bounce and just a little wick down. So you could have just put your stop loss right at the bottom of that wick. Oh yeah, letting it sit overnight. I'm not a fan of that if that's what you're talking about, like entering a trade and then going to sleep. I don't like doing that unless I am already like well into profit in the position and I can put my stop loss like slightly in profit or break even at the very least, so there's like zero risk. If there's any risk in a position overnight, then I don't sleep well. And then I'm not going to trade well the next day, and I'm grumpy the next day, and yeah. I don't like sitting in overnight positions like that. Well, it's looking good. It's just slow. It's funny, if you guys were on the stream when I first logged on, I kind of gave my 2 if-then scenarios. And this is pretty much exactly it. Like, I said, from here, we were around here. Oh no, we were right around here. This was the open. Go up, test, point of control, and then come back down. That's what I was thinking. but I did not expect it to happen this slow. I kind of thought all of that was going to happen within the like first 15-minute opening range. I didn't realize it was going to take 2 hours. Oh man, come on. Just go down to VWAP. Looking at the 5-minute, I mean, there's lots of wicks on the upside. I don't like that bounce right there, though. Might get stopped out for break even on this trade if that doesn't reject soon. I know there were a couple of you that were taking this trade with me. Did anyone else close out their position yet, or are you guys still holding it? There's a decent 1-minute rejection. There you go, Beverly. Beverly, what are you targeting? Are you aiming for like VWAP? You can aim for like, or I guess there's 2 VWAPs. There's different levels. There's this New York anchored VWAP, and then you have the overnight VWAP, which is closer to that 15-minute opening range high. I could see where either one of those would be a good target, or if you're really thinking that we'll get bearish, you can go down to the opening range low. Seems like we got a lot of indecision here. I know when I checked the news earlier, we had a couple of like White House speakers. I think there might be one going on right now. Yeah, we have Governor Macklem speaking right now. And then we have a White House crypto czar speaking in about 5 minutes. Nothing too crazy, I don't think. And then we have a Trump swearing in ceremony and then another speaker at 11 and 11:40, so 20 minutes. This is a hard climate for scalpers too. If any of you are the type who like to trade with momentum and just quick in, quick out, with how little movement we have, you'd have to like size up quite a bit to get any money out of it. I mean, we're barely, this range right here that we've been sitting in for the last 40 minutes is like a 20, 25 point range. I moved my stop a little bit, if you saw me make that adjustment to those recent highs, just because of how much indecision we have. If it starts to move back higher, I don't want to be in it. Yep, turtle market. How do you make any money being a scalper though when there's not movement like this? Like to me, I mean, I'm not a scalper, so I could be wrong, but I feel like scalping is like less than 1 minute. Like you get in, you get out real quick. If you took a 1 minute trade today, you might get 5, 10 points. All right, tell me, all of you degen traders in the chat, is anyone trading FOMC? Are any of you the crazy type that like buys a cheap eval and tries to pass it on one trade during news? Yeah, coach said what you're describing, I would fail at that. Like you said, you have to be precise and you have to know the direction because you could easily get stopped out in the opposite direction if you're wrong. I wouldn't do well with that. Yeah, Johnny, have a couple cheap evals for like when you're bored and just want to go all in. I used to do that. I've stopped doing that once I like started to keep track of how many accounts I blew doing that. I was like, that's an expensive habit and it's just gambling. Might as well go sit at a casino table and play blackjack. That'd be more fun. All right, gang. I don't want to be in this slow grind chop, so I went ahead and put my stop loss at break even, and of course, now it's moving in my direction. It's gonna be wiki like that, y'all. Alright, well, I'm gonna close up shop and not get stuck in this low volume stuff going on with speakers talking right now. I just feel like there could be a random announcement that just blows it up in either direction, and there will be an unexpected move. So I'm done trading this morning. Might come back and look after the rate announcement comes out, and we'll see from there. All right, thanks y'all for joining me. No trading tomorrow. The markets are closed for the holiday, but we'll be back on Friday. Have a good one, guys.